They're doing some end of next month at MGM Northfield Park.
An incredibly popular podcast. And guess what it's about?
I don't know.
Crime. True crime.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. They did a great series. I don't listen to it regularly, but they did a great series on the Mormon Church. And so it's not always just crime, but like they just kind of dig into topics that they think are interesting.
Huh.
And I learned a lot from it.
You learned a lot from it?
I learned a lot because there's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you when you're in the church about Joseph Smith and
I see,
him being a failed magician and stuff like that, kind of a con artist. They got to leave that stuff out when they're like, he was called by God to restore Jesus Christ's church on earth. And they don't say it, but it was also...
He made it all up.
Treasure hunting scumbag.
Sure. Well, you got to break some eggs, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, last podcast on the left is, of course, one of the 4 billion podcasts available on the iHeartRadio app. And I'll have tickets for you next week for that. My bracket's busted as of last night.
Mine is so trash.
I assume everybody's bracket is busted. I had to check mine.
Mine's been busted and busted and busted.
Yeah, I had to check mine, but I think mine was still good until last night. But it is no longer because Gonzaga and Arizona both lost. And I had Arizona in the Final Four, I think. I'd have to bring up my bracket. But I had... Yeah,
my bracket's... I'm 35th in our iHeart League, which is pretty bad.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to figure out...
Yeah, you're beating me.
Yeah, again, I think I was...
second to last. That's how bad I am.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Well, and mine was just kind of like... Obviously, there was no rhyme or reason to mine.
Mine either. I just did random... I did random... but historically random, because I don't know anything about the teams, and that did not work out in my favor.
I'm trying to find mine. I had mine. I just brought mine up earlier, and now I can't find it. But yeah, I think I got knocked out last night, because I definitely had Arizona in the Final Four.
Did they get knocked out? I haven't.
Yeah, Arizona got knocked out. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big
and
one.
I mean, there were some early upsets too. That, people, that's kind of what people like in March Madness, are the upsets. That's what Poundcake likes about March Madness, are the upsets.
People crying, people falling,
yeah, people being upset is what he likes.
Yep.
That's what gives him the most joy, the most pleasure.
Men going out and cheating on their wives.
Do you see the woman on TikTok whose husband of 10 years died, and she had to text the mistress?
Oh.
She knew her husband was cheating on her.
Damn.
And she texts, and
what do you say? What do you say all the time, Poundcake? Men are what?
Pigs.
I thought dogs, but pigs, yeah, whatever.
Men are pigs, men are dogs. Man, shut your ass up. All the same. But I'd be like, this is my moment to be petty because I'm the morning wife and I get all the money. So I'm like, hope you slept with him last, because that's the last thing you'll have to remember him, because I'm wiping and cleaning everything.
Right, but her husband and the father of her children is also dead.
And don't come to the funeral.
Yeah, well, apparently people were divided on this on TikTok because some people thought that she was being petty.
She is being petty, but
I think she's allowed to be petty.
Is she being petty by telling her husband's side piece, hey, I know you were having an affair with him, and he is dead?
If the husband, if the side piece knew he was married, then...
She admitted she did.
Well, then, yes.
There were screen grabs of the text exchange, and she goes, we were married for like 10 years, right? Together for like 16. She's like, yeah, he said that he was having a hard time at home and that he and I were like peas in a pod and blah, 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 so all the regular stuff. But, yeah, it was pretty wild. But I was surprised at how many people thought that the woman, the widow, was not in the right.
Because they want to justify their cheating and not have their wives.
Well, no, I don't think every person who was giving her a hard time is cheating on someone, but I just thought it was an interesting take on that. They're like, people were divided. I'm like, really? Divided on what? I guess people can be divided on anything. People live to be divided.
I have a question.
Everybody's living to
be divided. Yes.
If the side piece has a kid and it's the husband's, and the father dies, can the kid ask for some of the money, or is he just out that money?
You mean if there's a love child? You mean?
Yes.
The mother could go to court,
but it's not a guarantee that you'll win anything, because now the guy's deceased, and he's like, the family could be like, he's our dad and he's married to my mom, so
but he's also the kid's dad too.
But you don't have to pay child support after you're dead, do you?
It's not about child support. It's about if he has a love child with someone else and that kid has not been, there's no agreement to take care of that kid. All I'm saying is you could file a suit. You could file a paternity suit or something along those lines.
But saying he did acknowledge the fact that was his kid, I'm saying what could you do? What are you entitled to? If the family is already...
I'm not saying you're entitled to anything, but I'm saying you would have a case if you were the woman and said, well, he was the dad, and because what the woman would probably say is, he told us that we would be taken care of in some capacity.
They always say that.
Well, what else are you going to say?
Always take care of me.
But what else are you going to say? Of course they're going to say that.
Who takes care of you? A husband.
A lot of people take care of their children, right?
No, I'm talking about like the mistress. Like, you are a side piece.
There are a lot of people who take care of their side piece's kid.
I mean, there's those guys that they have the double families.
I know.
That dream, yo.
Double family.
They got the double family. They got the East Coast
one
family.
family is enough work. What's with the double family?
They got the West Coast family and the East Coast family. Who is
the double family?
The news guy that
Charles Kuralt.
Charles Kuralt.
That's
Two
gangster.
families.
Two families.
I would just get mixed up on names. Like, I mean...
That's why you just call everybody's son or daughter.
Yeah, Bartholomew.
Just keep everybody buddy or, sweetheart.
Sport.
Yeah.
Hey, Sport. What's your name again?
I don't even understand how you commit crimes like that. Like, not
not
having
crime.
another family. But if you're a bigamist, then isn't that what it's called? A bigamist?
Yeah, if you marry two people, but why do that? You don't have to marry anybody if you have a whole other family. The weird thing
they don't know that.
The weird thing about the double family is when the one woman knows he's got two families. So you have one woman who doesn't know anything, and then you have the other woman,
which makes sense a lot more back in the day when it wasn't as common for a woman to strike out on her own or provide for herself.
Well, and there was no way to contact. I mean, I think his other family was like in Montana or something. Yeah. But I think that was a case where the other family made a claim to some of his money. Mm-hmm. And that's when his wife found out about it.
Such a wild story.
Because he died in the late 90s. He did it. Well, Charles Kuralt, who was like this nice guy on TV, he was kind of like a Willard Scott
guy,
type. Yeah. And he did a show called On the Road, which became very ironic in the aftermath of his death. He did a show called On the Road where he was just profiling small town America. And here we are. And, and so he retires when he's in his late 50s, I think. He'd been at CBS News forever. And so then he dies, and 10 years later, because I think the woman really wanted to keep it secret. I don't think she wanted anybody to know. 10 years later, this woman who lives in Montana comes out and said that he had a second family with her while he and his wife lived in Manhattan. So he had two grown daughters, and he and his wife lived in New York. And he had a shadow family, is what the woman called it, in Montana. And it was his house. It's his house in Montana. And so she had to go to court because she said that he had said that house had been willed to her. But then she had to get into it with the wife. And it was just a woman he met while he was on the road.
Out on the road,
doing a story. Yeah.
You never know when you're going to meet the one.
That's right. So that would be pretty wild.
And it's someone that worked on the road for some time. It happens.
Are you going to tell us, Bill, that is this?
I got a second family. Yeah, no, I don't got a second.
Is this where you reveal your shadow family? Are you coming out of your shadow?
He doesn't have a second
no
family.
Shadow family. Just
he has a third.
Just could see how you could meet a nice lady on the road, and
But to start a
make some
family
but not to
with
start
her
a family.
is,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
Show
insane.
some RESPICT.
Jesus, in Montana. Because if you're those kids, hey, when are we going to see Dad again? Oh, he's on the road a lot, just like the show says.
Just watch the TV. You can. That's when you get to visit with Dad.
You have
Like
to.
Barney's dad on How I Met Your Mother, where you thought
Yeah.
that Bob Barker was his dad for all those years.
But just all the machinations you'd have to go through to keep your kid. Why can't we go to New York and see Dad? Oh, obviously I don't know the ins and the outs of it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Did it for a long time. Alan, what did Poundcake say is the word for someone with multiple wives?
Bigamist.
Yeah, he got it right. A bigamist.
Bigamy.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how you could commit a crime like that. Because once you file for like a marriage license in another state, isn't there like some big database where they're like, you're already married. We can't issue you a marriage license. How do you get married if there's already?
I don't know that he
already
was
tied up?
actually married both times.
But that's what a bigamist is. So
Right,
I'm
but
just
I'm saying
how,
like he's got two families. It doesn't mean he married. He's just leaving it in another lady in Montana.
No, I understand
Right.
that. But how do people commit the crime of bigamist?
Because they don't officially file. They don't try. Like,
Okay, see, I
they
thought-
just have like a ceremonial wedding. They don't have the actual paperwork.
That's what I'm
And
saying, 'cause
that's
I-
how they get away with it. It's an easy crime to commit if you want to. But there are people that it used to be something that was easier to get away with because they didn't have networks like they have now. It was all paper filings.
Yeah, okay, that makes
But
sense.
now, everything's connected to the internet. But even then,
because they got
state stuff doesn't necessarily connect with other state stuff.
That's what a social
if you're not
security
searching
number
for
is.
it, though.
You type in your social or whatever, and then you're like, sir.
Well, yeah, Social Security benefits benefit the kid.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about like your social security number.
I know what you were asking about. Would the kid get any money? The kid could get a cut of Social Security
okay,
money. Yeah.
okay. That makes sense. I'm just gonna see who else is on my dad's like Social Security. Maybe it's just me or my brother. I don't know if he.
Who else?
No, because he had people living in his house for I don't know how long.
I assume by the time I'm retirement age, which is not that far off, 15, 20 years, that Social Security will be insolvent. I have no expectation of having Social Security money of any kind.
Everyone's gonna be drafted to World War III anyways. Who cares?
I thought they were talking things out today.
Okay, I'll bite. Everyone's going to be drafted to there's no draft. Drafted to World
Not
War.
yet.
You think they're going
He's
to
saying there's
revive
gonna be.
the conscription program?
My friend messaged me. This was the day that we had like the get together at my aunt's house, like the sloppy joes.
Yeah.
He messaged me and he's in the army and he's like, "Bro, it's going down. Everyone's getting drafted." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Do you got PTSD?" He's like, "No." He's like,
Every time somebody fires a gun overseas, everybody over here goes,
no, because
I was in college during the Gulf War. These are the same thing that,
it was like somebody fired at an embassy in Iran, or Iran fired at an embassy, a U.S. embassy overseas, and they're like, "That's it. That's an act of war. Like we're in it now." And I was just like, "All right, so how can I get out of this? I can't use the gay card because we fought so hard to."
But you know how many active engagement areas we have around the world at any given time, and there's no draft. It's not like this is the only thing the American military is engaged in right now. And it's not even the American military. I mean, that's what people are concerned about, Sooner or later, they're going to have to put up or shut up over there. It's I know we're kicking that can down the road, but there's going to be a time where somebody's going to go, "Oh, do we send?" Biden goes, "We're not sending American. This is not going to be World War III." He can't say that. He can't say. Personally, I think it's already World War III.
Why?
Because you look at what's happening. World War III doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like World War I or World War II. Historically, I think that's what people have in their minds. Growing up in the 80s, which was the last time that we were freaked out about nuclear war, you remember, if you're like a Gen Xer, The Day After was this big show that was on network television in the mid-'80s about a nuclear strike, a nuclear weapon detonates over Lawrence, Kansas. And our teachers told us it was going to be on, but maybe watch it with your family. You remember the day after? You were probably too young
I
to
was
have
probably too
watched
young
that.
for that, yeah.
I think it was 85, 86 maybe.
Yeah,
and it was this
I was just a
terrifying.
baby.
Yeah. I was in high school.
Let's see, I was probably 3 or 4, so not a baby, but I was a small child. And
So for people who were living in the 60s, there was that constant threat of nuclear war because of like Bay of Pigs. I mean, that was if you read through the actual history of that, we were much closer than anybody realized. And then in the 80s, the Cold War and everything. So every few decades, that nuclear threat, because they're just out there. Mm-hmm. And there's also a lot of lost nukes. There are nukes that nobody knows where they are because there are so goddamn many. So, and when the Soviet Union fell, it's not they were like, all right, get me that file on where all the nuclear warheads are. We'll go pick them up. So they all kind of, spread out to all the Balkan states got broken up and whatever. But, every so often, people kind of revert to freaking out about, people associate World War III with nuclear war. It doesn't have to be that anymore. Not in the internet age. Now when somebody can shut down a power grid. So, World War III doesn't have to be conventional weapons like it certainly can be.
So
There's nothing saying that he's not going to set off some, what do they call them, low-grade nuke or something, that would just like take out half a city or something. They have those.
yeah.
Dirty bomb, something. I don't
they got
know.
a lot of stuff.
Who knows? Yeah.
Chemical warfare.
Yeah.
He's already using that.
biological. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of viral warfare. There's so many things you can do now. But it's
not going to be Starship Troopers, is my point,
Oh, that'd be wild.
I was
doing my part.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to smear poop
Just
on myself.
smashing bugs. Have you seen the new Dolph Lundgren, speaking of Russia and the Cold War, the Old Spice commercial
No.
with Dolph Lundgren?
I don't think I have.
Okay, it's just go to YouTube and search Hang On Old Spice.
Something I can air?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a TV commercial.
Grab my hand! Wait, are you sweating?
Oh, they've de-aged Dolph
they
Lundgren.
de-aged him, yeah.
Didn't you use Allspice dry spray? Of course I did. I'm not an idiot.
Okay, so there's a guy
one of the
hanging on it.
It's one of the most disturbing commercials I've seen in a while, but I could not stop laughing when I first saw it. 'Cause
It's
I'm
like old school Dolph Lundgren reaching down to try to pull a guy up, and he's sweating from his pits just pouring in this
just
guy's face.
pouring.
Dolph Lundgren is right here. Old Spice has long-lasting sweat protection. I'm telling you, I used it.
Oh, he's just spraying out of his armpit into this guy's face.
This doesn't seem like it'd be actually on TV, but it's a real TV commercial.
I like to know under what circumstances a guy fighting Dolph Lundgren would be carrying around a can of Old Spice deodorant spray.
Okay, I lied.
Drops him and takes the can.
Yeah.
Boy, I wonder why they went that route. De-aging Dolph Lundgren.
Right.
Huh.
It's a weird move, but there's a lot of stuff. I don't watch a lot of live TV, so when I do, I'll catch commercials that have been out for a while. Like this one's been out for a month. And the other one that blew my mind is the Batman pizza, because that movie's so dark and so not a movie you would expect to have some cross promotion, but at Little Caesars they have the Bat Pizza, where it's a pizza that's kind of shaped like a Batman.
We talked
symbol.
about it.
Oh, that's right, we did. I forgot about it.
As I said, it was going to make people fart.
Yeah. I guess if we had talked about it, but I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, it looks
So
ridiculous.
then when I saw it,
It's called a Batzoni or something?
Batzoni,
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But also, after seeing the movie and then like being like, this is the darkest, like most serious Batman movie there is, and then afterwards they're supposed to be like, and after you see the Batman, enjoy a Batzoni. Like the 90s and 80s Batman, those made sense to have promotional material
They're
to go along
kitschier,
with it.
yeah.
Much kitschier, much more built for that. But
Yeah.
this one, where it's just a trudge through the wettest, saddest city, and they're like, but also pizza.
There's not a smile in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only joke is the Batman promotion.
Right.
That's the only joke in the whole movie.
It's like get your commemorative Manchester by the Sea glass at McDonald's. I'm going to take a break. I will have those Monsters tickets for you. They're going to play the Rochester